Howdy friends, Steve DePoe here with the Rose Realty team with this week's real estate vlog. Today we're going to talk about the home selling process. Now there's not a lot that's changed in the home selling process over the last 15 or 20 years, but in case you haven't sold a house in a long time, or maybe you're a first-time home seller, or you just want to refresh your course, this is kind of like a good vlog for y'all. So here we go. So you've decided to sell your house. Now what are the next steps? Well, there's two ways for you to sell your house. The first way is to sell it on your own. We don't recommend that. Obviously, we're real estate agents, so we don't recommend it. But here's some interesting facts from the National Association of Realtors. 92% of all people that try to sell their house, initially try to sell their house on their own, eventually go over to a real estate agent. I mean, it's the hassle of trying to sell it on your own, waiting through the legal documents, waiting through the paperwork. That's what we get paid for. That's why we're licensed, and that's why we go through the training that we do to make sure that we do the best job for you. Now, you decide to pick a real estate agent. Now, what do you do? Well, ask family and friends in the neighborhood. Hey, who's in the neighborhood? Who should I talk to about selling my house? I'm interested in selling. Get a list, interview each one or a subset for maybe 30 to 45 minutes. Go to a local coffee shop or, McDonald's or something like that. Interview them for 30 or 45 minutes and pick one out. Or you could frankly, you could do the smart thing and call the Rose Realty team. We'll do a great job for you. Next, you got to find out how much your house is worth and price it correctly. Okay. So what we do is what's called competitive market analysis, or CMA. And that gives us an idea of what your house is worth in your neighborhood. Okay. Now, if you've got a 4-bedroom and the house next door just sold is a 3-bedroom and that's sold for X amount, we can figure out, we have data that supports how much an extra bedroom in Argyle is worth. Okay. We know that through the facts and the data that we work with. And so we can figure out, okay, so you've got an extra bedroom, maybe an extra garage or so many more square feet. We can figure out how much your house is worth compared to the house that's sold down the street or around the block. Okay. And we will provide you with that report. Now, at this point, you've decided to sell your house. It becomes a business decision. Let's try to take emotion out of it. I think I'm going to be blunt here. The fact that you raised your family there, the buyer's not going to really care about that. The fact is that you live there for 20 or 30 years, the buyer's not going to care. So we've got to try to take a much emotion out of it as we can. Remember the Godfather. It's just business. It's only business. That's what we got to kind of concentrate on. Okay. Now, we're going to walk through the house and we're going to suggest some necessary repairs and replacements. Maybe you need to repair nail holes in the wall. Maybe from personal pictures. We're going to ask you to take down personal pictures as well. Maybe you have to replace the carpet in a family or living room because it's kind of worn. We want to remove any impediments that people have, that their eyes are good. People's eyes always go to the bad stuff when they're looking to buy a house. We want to remove all of those impediments, all of those gotchas, so that they have no excuses. They have no excuses not to make an offer and to put an offer on your house. You don't have to do everything that us or your real estate agent tells you, but we're professionals and we're trying to get you your house to sell at the highest amount possible in the shortest amount of time. So now you have to get your home ready for sale. So you have to go through this readiness program that we just said. We replace some stuff, fix some stuff, et cetera, et cetera. We're also going to have to ask you to declutter cupboards, closets, storage areas, the garage, the floor space itself. Maybe you've got 6 chairs there. We're going to say take 2 out, whatever. So we want nice open space, and we want people to get the idea, how would my stuff look here? Okay. Now, important point, right? We got to try to hide as many of the personal items as we can. Jewelry, artwork, firearms, and medications. We don't want those laying around. Yep, I know. I've sold many houses myself, and it's convenient to just have like your meds sitting there on the bathroom counter. We've got to move those because we want to remove any temptation that people have, to kind of mess around with your junk, right? Now, you sign a listing agreement. The next step is you sign a listing agreement and a seller's disclosure. The listing agreement is between your real estate agent and you for how much your house is we're going to list your house at, and then what your responsibility is and what our responsibility is. Okay, it's spelled out there in the listing agreement. Now, the seller's disclosure is something that you, the seller, fill out. It's a checklist to say, okay, so we have these things in the house: washer, dryer, dishwasher, hot water heater. And then if you had any problems with these items, so if you had a leak in your hot water heater and you fixed it with a Band-Aid and a piece of duct tape, we're going to have to state that, because the buyer is going to want to know what's going on, because the buyer, seriously, the buyer doesn't want any gotchas. Think about, put yourself in the buyer's position. We don't want any gotchas when we're trying to buy a house, and we don't want any gotchas when we're trying to sell it. They could delay the sale of your home, or make it go back, have to go back on the market. Then we're going to develop a marketing plan. Now, this is really interesting, because what a lot of agents do, they stick a sign in the yard, they put it in MLS, and they expect the house to sell. Maybe in some neighborhoods, in some environments, that'll happen. But we do at the Rose Realty team, we develop a full-blown marketing plan, which includes flyers, brochures, social media, contacting every single person that we know to say, hey, do you know of somebody that would want this house? That's our marketing plan. Now, a lot of times what other agents or agencies will do is, let's say your house doesn't sell in 30 days. Okay, what's the first thing they say? Well, got to lower the price. Well, I would ask you, I would say, okay, so I would say, Mr. Agent, what's the marketing plan? What did you do to sell my house as quickly as possible at the price that I want? And a lot of them, they don't have one. We put together a marketing plan. And if we suggest to you after 30 or 60 days, we have to lower the price, it's going to be price related, and not because of our marketing, the marketing that we need to do. Okay, now we're going to show your home. There's basically the best way to sell your house, show your home rather, is to set it up by appointment with a lockbox. What that means is that the other agent will call up and say, hey, I want to show your house. We will call a showing service that we pay for, and we want to show your house at 2 o'clock. They will contact you and say, hey, the Smiths want to see your house at 2 o'clock. Now, if it's 1:45, I'd say, yeah, I'm sorry, not today. But if it's like 12 o'clock, yeah, you have time to do some straightening up, and you have time to kind of vacate the house before the potential buyer and licensed agent comes to show your house. Okay, that's the best way to do it. Now, that showing that we just had wants to put in an offer to buy. So they put in an offer. Likely it's not going to be at full price. Although with the Rose Realty team, what we do is we try to price your house so you get multiple competitive offers in the shortest amount possible, so that we kind of drive the price up just a little bit. But so they've come in and they made an offer. You have three options here, right? You can accept it, you can reject it, or we can negotiate. And that's where you put in a counter offer. So they offer this, you offer a little bit more, and somewhere in between, you arrive at a fair and equitable price, one that you can accept. Okay. Now, here's something. There's 2 points here to remember, right? Number one, typically the first offer is the best, and that's because it's just going on the market. It's the first people that sold it, that saw the house, and they don't want to lose it, so they're going to put in basically the best offer. As your house sits there and gets older and older and older on MLS, the offers or the prices are going to kind of come down a little bit. Plus, other properties are going to become available and competitive to yours. And so oftentimes the first offer is the best. Second, again, it's only business. So we want to get you the best price for your house as we can. Okay. Remember, it's only business, and we want you to get on with your life into that next house, the next stage of your life, as quickly as possible. Next is we select a title company. Now, you likely don't know any title companies. We, of course, do. And so we're gonna help you select a title company that's going to be able to close for us on time. That's the important thing. The title companies are regulated by the state of Texas on how much they can charge for X, Y, and Z for these different menu of items. They're regulated. But the important thing is them being able to get you and get us to closing as quickly as possible. That's the thing that we want to look for. And of course, the Rose Realty team works with only the best ones in North Texas. Now, home inspection and appraisal. Now, the bank is going to send out an appraiser, right? The seller has selected a mortgage company or a bank, and they're going to come out to make sure that the house is worth what they want to buy it for, but their mortgage is going to be worth. So in case they can't pay their mortgage and the bank has to foreclose, they want to know that they can get their money back. Okay, the home inspection. The buyer's going to pay for a home inspection or home inspector who are going to look at all the things in the house to make sure that the house is sound and that there's no issues with it. If there are, then they're going to come back and they're going to try to negotiate to say, could you fix this? Could you fix that? That's where we as real estate agents, professional real estate agents, are going to negotiate those things on your behalf, right? So if the buyer requests a repair or replacement, we don't necessarily have to accept it. But what we at the Rose Realty team kind of focus on, what I focus on, is three things: safety, structural, and big ticket items. Okay, so maybe safety and structural are kind of obvious. We want to make sure that the electrical, the plumbing, and the structure of the house is sound. But the big ticket items are like HVAC, roof, and hot water heater. Okay, so we want to make sure that those things are secure and safe and in perfect working order. So we've gone through that. We've negotiated the home inspection. We understand what we're going to have to fix. We fix them, and we say, okay, now we're going to go to closing. Now we go to closing, and as the seller, you're going to sign like a little stack of documents. You're going to come with your ID. You're going to show that you own the house. The title company at that point will have worked with your mortgage company and escrow and the town and all of that to make sure we're in good shape to hand over the keys to the buyers. Now, we're not going to hand over those keys until all the money's been changed. Now, in today's environment, obviously, a lot of this stuff is done electronically, right? But as soon as the buyer's mortgage company or bank sends the funds to your mortgage company or bank, that's what we call it funded, and that's when you can turn over your keys to the buyers. But we're not done yet, because after we funded and after closing, you're going to follow me to the local restaurant, and the first round's on me. Hopefully that was useful for you. It's kind of a pretty standard process, and we've been through it hundreds of times, and so we've really got that process kind of honed in, and we know the best people to work with in terms of inspectors or title companies, etc. Next week, we're going to talk about moving during COVID-19. Wow, this is really interesting. Kind of like a whole new industry's kind of popped up because of COVID-19 and the moving process. Again, no market update on Wednesday. We're going to kind of postpone that until we come back in September. This is Steve DePoe for the Rose Realty team. I'm going to bounce.